What if Avengers Doomsday isn't about saving the universe, but deciding who doesn't survive it? Marvel is setting up its darkest crossover yet, where legacy heroes, multiversal anchors, and even villains face permanent endings. Today, we break down the most likely deaths in Avengers Doomsday, and why every loss serves one terrifying purpose: making Doctor Doom unstoppable. In the landscape of Avengers Doomsday, Thor stands out as the most emotionally intentional candidate for a character death. Evidence suggests this could be Chris Hemsworth's final appearance, not due to external pressure, but because Thor's narrative arc has quietly reached its natural conclusion. He has evolved from a reckless god chasing glory into a protector who truly understands the cost of survival. A sacrificial death feels inevitable because it would place Thor in a final stand to defend Loki, completing a relationship arc that has served as the MCU's emotional backbone. By dying to stop Doctor Doom from reaching Loki, Thor would be choosing love over survival, an act he was incapable of in his earlier years. This provides a founding Avenger with a meaningful farewell, while anchoring Doom as a high-stakes, saga-level threat. Ultimately, Thor wouldn't die because he is weak, but because he is finally strong enough to prioritize someone else over himself. Star-Lord! Star-Lord is positioned as one of the most believable candidates for a heroic sacrifice because his story already feels complete. Unlike many heroes, Peter Quill received rare closure in the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, making peace with his past and returning to Earth. Marvel's promise that the legendary Star-Lord will return acts as an open door for Doomsday to serve as a clean, final endpoint. From a strategic standpoint, Marvel often uses major crossovers to close out characters who no longer require solo films. Star-Lord's journey from a selfish survivor to a leader willing to lose everything makes a final sacrifice a matter of character consistency rather than shock value. His death would bridge the cosmic and grounded worlds, serving as a quiet, intentional, and devastating reminder that even the most human heroes aren't safe in the era of Doom. The Thunderbolts! Thunderbolts are not positioned as long-term icons, but as proof of concept, and are effectively expendable by design. They are framed as morally gray, government-adjacent, and unstable. Current expectations suggest that only a small core, likely Yelena Belova, Bucky Barnes, and Sentry, will survive. Wiping out the rest of the team early in the film would instantly establish Doctor Doom as an overwhelming threat without needing to touch the main Avengers immediately. These deaths would reinforce the idea that enhanced abilities and moral flexibility do not guarantee survival against Doom. Rather than emotional goodbyes, these characters serve as narrative tools designed to make the audience fear what comes next. By sparing only a few, the film draws a hard line. Doom is the one who decides who matters. Loki! Loki's potential death in Doomsday is less about personal redemption and more about structural collapse. By the end of his solo series, Loki became a mechanism holding the multiverse together, acting as a living anchor for every branching reality. This makes him a high-value target for Doctor Doom. If Doom takes control of the TVA, Loki immediately becomes a liability because the TVA manages timelines while Doom intends to rule them. A Doom-controlled system would not tolerate a being representing free will and balance. Removing Loki would be a strategic move for Doom, functioning as a multiversal system shutdown that allows him to reshape reality. There is a tragic symmetry in this. The god who once obsessed over thrones could die because he became the very thing standing in the way of another's control. Even if Thor sacrifices himself to save Loki, Loki's subsequent death would prove that the universe still demanded a price. Spider-Man. If the film focuses on definitive endings, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man represents the most emotionally precise farewell possible. His return in No Way Home provided him with closure, making a Doomsday appearance feel like a deliberate epilogue. Narratively, using this version makes sense because Tom Holland's Spider-Man is just starting a new, painful chapter, whereas Tobey's represents a life already lived. He is the hero who endured loss quietly and never stopped being a hero. A final sacrifice from this Spider-Man would not feel like a loss, but like Marvel letting the character choose his own ending. Facing a multiversal threat like Doom demands a legacy, and this Spider-Man's death would be one final act of responsibility. the defining principle of the character since 2002. Ant-Man. Ant-Man's potential death is framed as a narrative inevitability. Since Endgame, the franchise has struggled to justify Scott Lang's continued relevance, and Marvel often resolves such narrative dead ends during major crossovers. Scott's death would be about consequences rather than destiny. As one of the few heroes who interfered with the natural flow of time and lived to joke about it, his removal during a Doom-led catastrophe suggests that some shortcuts eventually demand a price. Killing a normal guy with a daughter grounds the stakes, showing that Doom kills regular people with everything to lose, not just legends. His death would signal finality over mythology, ending a story Marvel no longer knows how to continue while proving that no one is safe. M'Baku. M'Baku's death would be a natural extension of his role as one of Wakanda's most important defenders. He represents strength without ego, and when Wakanda is threatened, he becomes the wall that buys everyone else time. If Doom targets Wakanda for its vibranium and technology, M'Baku's sacrifice is a likely outcome, as Wakandan stories frame defense as honor. His loss would underline that even the nation's strongest protectors are not immune to multiversal threats. This death would not be loud or triumphant. It would be physical, desperate, and final, reminding the audience that Wakanda is protected by people willing to stand in front of it, not just technology. Dr. Doom. A shocking but purposeful theory suggests that the version of Dr. Doom introduced in Doomsday might actually die. This is rooted in the concept of multiversal variants. In the comics, some versions of Doom die to make way for a greater, more dangerous iteration. If the first Doom we meet dies, it would serve as a demonstration of incomplete power. This subverts expectations and allows Secret Wars to introduce a Doom who has already learned from failure. In this framework, Doom's death is instructional, a warning that even he can fall, and the version that follows will be far worse. While heroes die to protect others, Doom would die because he wasn't perfect yet, reinforcing his obsession with absolute control. Only the versions of Doom that adapt are meant to survive. Avengers. Doomsday isn't about shock deaths, it's about clearing the board. Every loss reshapes the MCU and prepares us for something far worse. Because when the dust settles, only Doom is meant to remain. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because the end of the MCU as we know it is just beginning.